Hey, Joyful Journeyer. Anita Adams here, your host. I want to share something a little different today, an experiment of sort, if you will. A few weeks ago, I gave myself a 24-hour silent retreat. Just me. No devices, no work, no distractions, and in theory, no talking. And I say in theory because that no talking bit wasn't so easy and didn't exactly last. This so called silent retreat came about because I realized I needed a bit of a reset. Not that anything in my life was wrong, but something just felt off all the same. I needed more space, more quiet. You see, I could feel myself getting pulled into the social media scroll, the negative news, constantly checking my emails, almost as if I was expecting something, though I couldn't have told you what. I didn't like how consumed I was becoming with these activities. Activities that, for the most part, were draining, not energizing. So I decided to unplug with a digital detox and silent retreat. I chose a Tuesday because my husband was going to be out for most of the day, and I knew very clearly, beyond any doubt, that he would be a big distraction. I loosely mapped out the day, nothing too rigid. I had a few journaling prompts, some verses from a Bible I thought I might reflect on, and plans to go for walks, maybe do some yoga, meditate, maybe do a puzzle or some painting. Just be. No productivity was allowed. No working, no tidying up, no doing chores, no, I'll just quickly do this one thing, and definitely no screens. So the morning starts. I make myself a latte. I'm feeling very grounded, very intentional. I sit down, pick up the Bible, read a verse, and immediately say out loud, "That's BS." And then I just freeze, hand over mouth. Like, did I actually really say that out loud on a silent retreat to the Bible? And then I start laughing because it's not even 9 a.m. and I had already broken my vow of silence and sworn at the Bible. Not exactly the peaceful, spiritual start I had imagined, but also very honest, very human. And in a strange way, I think that moment actually set the tone for the whole day because it wasn't about doing it perfectly. It was about being real with myself. The rest of the day, well, it was beautiful. It was cool here in the mountains, but sunny, and I spent most of the day outside, just walking slowly, sitting in a field, not really trying to get anywhere. And at one point, as I was walking through the tall grass, I found myself thinking about something I get asked a lot. Why are you so happy? And I've answered that question in different ways over the years. But the answer that came to me in that moment felt really clear and honestly a bit surprising. It's not because everything in my life is perfect, it's because I've learned to slow down enough to actually notice my life. That might sound simple, but for me, that's been a huge shift. My slowing down journey began about 6 years ago when I started walking in nature every day. Before that, I loved being outside, but it was something I squeezed in when I could, once or twice a week if my schedule allowed it. But this was different. This was intentional, and it was daily. At the beginning, that was hard because I was used to being busy, being productive, always doing something. I had a to-do list that was a mile long, and I really believed that was just how life worked. You pushed, you achieved, you just kept going. What made the difference 6 years ago is that I had a coach who gently nudged me in a different direction. And I didn't realize it then, but that shift, well, it changed everything. The anxiety and overwhelm I had felt at that time in my life started to settle pretty quickly. That was probably the first thing I noticed. And then with that followed clarity. But what I didn't expect was how much my whole pace of life changed. I just kept slowing down little by little. And now I look back and I can see so clearly this is where my happiness comes from. Not from having everything figured out, not from achieving more, but from actually being in my life. noticing it, being fully present. I'm not talking about those big dramatic moments. It's easy to be present in those moments. I'm talking about being present with the small things, the mundane, a hot coffee in the morning sun, a conversation with someone, the sounds of birds, the way the light hits the trees. There's so much there, but we can so easily miss it when we're rushing. What I find super interesting is the very next day after my silent retreat and this dawning realization about happiness, I was on a call with one of my clients. She originally came to me because she wanted to feel more joy in her life. She thought maybe she needed a new sense of purpose, especially in this season of retirement. On that call, she said something that really struck me. She said, I've actually been feeling really happy lately. And when we talked about why, it wasn't because she had found some big new purpose. It was because she had slowed down. She stopped trying to cram so much into her days, and she started noticing the simple things more. And I just had this moment of course, like there it is again, the same truth reflected back to me. And I felt deeply grateful to God in that moment because it felt divinely delivered. I needed to be reminded of this truth. I had found it during my silent retreat, and the very next day it was powerfully affirmed by one of my clients in her own words. Yes, happiness doesn't come from doing more. It comes from being present enough to notice what's already here. This is one of the reasons I love sharing a practice called joy spotting. It's very simple. You just start paying attention to the little things throughout your day that bring you joy. That's it. And if you want to take it a step further, you can write them down in a journal at the end of the day. Sometimes it's a story. Sometimes it's just a list. Here's an example taken from my joy spotting journal. Things that brought me joy today. Enjoying my morning latte while lounging in my PJs. An unexpected kiss from my husband. Spotting a mother deer and her baby fawn on the path. A kind conversation with the cashier. My sister-in-law's dog running up to greet me with her tail wagging. The pink sky at the end of the day. You'll notice nothing big is on that list. Yet when you start to notice these things, you realize how much is already there. So I'll leave you with this question to ponder. What if nothing is missing in your life? What if what you need is already here, just waiting for you to notice it? I hope you enjoyed today's episode, Joyful Journeyer. If you are feeling the call to slow down, if you are longing for a little more space, a little more joy in your life, and you'd like someone to walk alongside you in that, I'm here. This is the work I do, the work I truly love. I host retreats that create space to step away and reconnect. And I offer one-on-one coaching to help you gently build the habits and practices that support a more grounded, fulfilling life. If this speaks to you, you'll find my contact details in the show notes. You're always welcome to reach out and simply start a conversation. Thanks for tuning in today. We'll catch you next time. Bye for now.